apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is filled with God and is a book about God. Amen. So it's the Sunday after Easter, so just sit back and kind of stretch out, because you got a lot of room. Just kick back, and I'm going to tell you a story, okay? So in 2005, something happened in my life that had just a tremendous impact on me, and then eventually on my family, and then eventually on the whole of St. John's, really. And that is, we're celebrating today Mission Sunday, and the mission was St. Anne's School in the Bronx, New York. It's an after-school program. How many of you don't know anything about St. Anne's? A few? Okay, so I'll tell you about it. So St. Anne's is this after-school program in New York. It's run in and through St. Anne's Episcopal Church, and it's also run by the Children's Defense Fund, and it helps elementary-aged children have somewhere to go after school. It ends up being about 120 children who come there for an after-school program, because they have nowhere else to go after school, really. Nowhere safe, anyway. And we've connected with them, like I said, in 2005, and have since formed a relationship that has lasted 10 years. And what ends up happening is we go to their, and we didn't know this in 2005, but we go and do their school while their after-school teachers come to the Alex Haley farm to get trained. So St. John's really runs the whole thing. And if we weren't there that week, I don't know what they would do. So it's a big deal. And like I said, this has impacted me personally. I'll get to that. My family, and this is how it's impacted my family, is two of our children have used St. Anne's and their experiences at St. Anne's for school speeches, for their chapel talks at school, to talk about what's happened to them. One of my children used her experience at St. Anne's to write her college entrance essay. So it helped get her into college. One of our children, some of my children are going to go to, is going to Poland this summer to help teach children English. And that comes straight out of his experience from being at St. Anne's. So St. Anne's has impacted my family, and I could go on and on, really, has impacted my family in a tangible way that's still impacting their life today. And it's done the same thing for people at St. John's. How many people here have either gone to St. Anne's, somehow or another supported St. Anne's through prayer or money? How many here have done that? Okay, see, if there were more people here today, there'd be more hands up too. And this is one other way. This is a sculpture that people here took metal over to Preston Faribault, someone who has a metal shop, and they bent this metal, and then Preston took the bent metal and made this statue, this sculpture, that's going to go in the meditation garden that they have at St. Anne's for their children. So it's one more way that our relationship keeps growing. It's one more way that St. John's impacts St. Anne's and St. Anne's impacts St. John's. And it's a powerful, powerful thing. And then you can add to it the gospel for today. And we could get into lots of parts of the gospel. But the part of the gospel that fits right with this is Jesus says, "As the Father has sent me, so I send you." Really, the first part of the gospel gives us a whole picture on how a Christian life works in a way. Is you go somewhere to get fed, hopefully here. You come here to get fed by the Spirit of Christ. And then that Spirit of Christ sends you out into the world to live a gospel life. You see the movement? Well, that's the thing. Well, St. Anne gives us a concrete place to be sent to. A concrete place to be sent to. And it has really changed the way we understand youth ministry and family ministry here. That it's not just about staying here, it's about going out. Moving out and touching the world with the compassion of Christ. And in that process, being touched yourself. Okay? So despite all this, and I don't want this to be like an infomercial about St. Anne's. I'm not trying to sell you on it. But what I am trying to say is this has been a powerful way for this community to live out our faith, is to be a part of this, St. Anne's mission. But despite all this, despite all that I've just told you, despite how it's impacted my family, despite how it's impacted St. John's, despite what the gospel says, the first time in 2005 when I was asked to go, I didn't want to go. I mean, the Bronx? I didn't want to go to the Bronx. I'd already been on 3 mission trips prior to the Bronx. 3. The first one, I was in San Antonio, and we took some kids to Belize. You ever been to Belize? I highly recommend going to Belize. Especially, that's a good place to be sent. That's a good place. So we went to Belize for the first time. The second time, and Tim was with us here, and it was the first mission trip for St. John's, we went to Edisto Island. That's a good place. No Belize, but it's a good place. Okay, so Belize, Edisto Island. And then the third time, and we did this for like 4 or 5 years, we went to the Bahamas. Yeah, you see the theme there? Those are nice places, lots of beauty. It's really pretty. When you're finished with your work, there's always the beach. And man, so the Bronx, Belize, Edisto Island, the Bahamas, and the Bronx. So and so I'm thinking concrete, dirty. I'm not going to know anything about the place. Why would I want to do that? Okay, sure, there's need there. There's need. There's no doubt about it. But there's need everywhere. So there's just not going to be any beauty there. That was what I kept coming back to. It's going to be dirty and ugly. And the story of the neighborhood where this place is that it was a drug-infested neighborhood, and it was not safe to walk the streets, and on and on and on and on. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm a pretty busy guy. I've got a family. I've got a fairly demanding job. I don't think I can do that. And then the call kept coming. Yeah, but I think this is where we're going to go. Okay, well, what if I go there and something better comes up? You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to miss out on if I'm there for a whole week? Because we were going for a whole week. I know somebody's going to invite me to do something. And I'm going to miss it. So I'm going to miss something if I do this. And then the call kept coming. But yeah, I think this is where we're going to go. And we really need you to go. And then it was like, well, what am I going to have to give up in order to go? And then it was, and even more, what is going to be asked of me? I mean, what are they going to ask me to do in the Bronx? And probably most of all, and what if I can't do it? What if this mission is going to ask me something I just can't do? So underneath all those reasons was one big thing, and it was fear. My fear of the unknown. Where was I going? And just like the locked doors in today's gospel, fear and all the excuses that come from fear hold me back. Keep me constricted. Keep me from moving out into life. And that's exactly what the gospel wants us to do, is move out into life and live life through the power and with the power of God's Spirit. So what was going to break down the doors? The fear. Finally, it was just, I had to. I had to go. I had to do it. It was my job. So tell me something. Have you ever done something that you initially didn't want to do and then ended up being the very thing you needed? Have you ever done that? Well, that's St. Anne's for me. It was the very thing I needed to be able to see God's Spirit at work in the world in a place that I might not have ever imagined. And that thing about beauty, that there was going to be no beauty there, well, take a look at this. It's in your bulletin. There it is. The beauty of God's love, shared between very different types of people. So for those of you who have participated in St. Anne's in any way, through prayer, through financial help, or through actually going, thank you. Thank you so much for doing it, because it spreads this. For those of you who haven't, think about it. Think about maybe that this might be something you might want to do. Because, you see, God's call to each of us today is to go out. Jesus says, as the Father has sent me, so I send you. You, whoever you are. Amen.